believe that I would come back to New Orleans and see the destruction and the terror and the horror. I swear, I was frightening. I couldn't believe it. It was worse than an atomic bomb. It was horrifying. I was afraid. Every time I talk, I get chill bumps all over my arm. You know, when we come back, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe my house. It was horrifying. Just to try to get in it because the water was squishing everything. I mean, everything in the house floated around. The kitchen was back there. The icebox and thing was in the living room. I mean, that's how everything, the water was knocked apart. Everything was just like a whirlpool. Washed everything. Everything that was in place when we left was
out of place.
Was out of place. Was nothing nowhere.
Was in the front. My bed was flipped upside down.
You couldn't make it.
Where'd you guys go?
Alabama.
They went to Alabama.
My daddy stayed.
I had to stay because I worked at the hospital, so I'm on the activation team. Whenever there's, you know, a disaster, I have to stay. I'm on an emergency system team, you know, so I stayed through the whole duration. Now, what I want to show you this here. If you look at this, you see this suit here.
Yep.
And you look at that. Those are the same suit. Though that suit and this suit here, particular, these here was this here. Now, God knows where they was underneath everything. They had mud this thick in the house. Mud. And so you couldn't find that, you just want some attention. And you couldn't make out nothing. I mean, mud was this thick. With myself, I'm coming back looking for this because I'm in love with it. I mean, all my heart, I swear, and I wasn't worried about too much anything, which is wrong. And there was nowhere in sight.
No, you hadn't worn this yet.
Yes, it was worn already.
Okay.
Yeah, but these suits had great. Boy, there's a lot behind them particular suits there.
Right.
And so then suddenly I moved stuff around and I seen partially of something like that. I said, but there was no way I could get it up because everything was all on top of it. Mud had it caked in. Well, I actually started moving it around. I'm saying I want to see it anyway. And I'm pulling everything up. I'm taking it, throwing everything out of sight and moving things aside just to get to that. And I wasn't worried about anything else, you know. And when I finally got something, I'm pulling it. And it was sort of like sparkling. I said, this can't be true that it's still, you know, presentable like that. And it had been in the mud for months because, you know, they wouldn't let it back in the city for a long time. I mean, what, a couple of months, we couldn't come back in the city, period. And now I'm pulling and I'm pulling, so I'm actually pulling out, I still have parts of this that we didn't put in certain places to keep them, but you know, museum and by my friend's house. Some of the boosts, the headpieces. So now I'm pulling this up. I'm pulling this up. Now as you look at that face mask, the headpiece, I saw that and I seen it and I pulled it up. So some kind of way the water was still running over there. The guy had a hose pipe. I mean, the water was just gushing out anyway. So I just went and put it in the water. And boy, I mean, like, wow, like, damn, this stuff came back to life almost. You know, I mean, you had some parts that really wasn't no good. So now, I said, what I'm going to do with that is take that. And the same year with Katrina, after Katrina, I thought it was falling. They thought it wasn't going to be a Mardi Gras the following year. That was a big discussion whether there should be a Mardi Gras, blah, blah, blah. You know, but this is the culture. I mean, and if it's something that could help the people they need, then that's what it was about, the spirit of New Orleans. So now, that same old suit that was in that mud, I took it loose and I made a new suit out of it. Now you look at this headpiece.
Yeah.
It's just turned upside down.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Look at this.
Look at
this. Look at that. Look at it right here.
Oh my goodness.
Look at the pieces. See these little pieces that going up there? And look at the thing in the middle right there. Look at the little. See it going the opposite way? See, if you turn it that way, that's what way you go. Look at it. And made a different suit out of it.
I love that story.
You know, and,
I love that.
And to believe that that suit would have been any good was impossible.
Wow.
Impossible. and that's a true story. And I was the only one out on the street Mardi Gras because no one else came back. The Mardi Gras Indians
It was
Yeah.
boring.
with my children.
Cause like usually everybody would be around singing and dancing.
Well, it was boring.
It was boring.
But the truth is, the spirit of Fire was back, and there was this thing that I put out. It was all on the radio, on the news, and I was calling all of the people to come back home, and that was the title of the song. You know, calling all the people to come back home. To New Orleans is where you belong. Calling all the people, tell everybody to come back home. Down in Louisiana, things like that.
Wow, that's an awesome
And that
song.
song went out, and people want to know whether I was smashing. And they were Arkansas, they was in California, they was in Alabama, they in Philadelphia. And when they got the word that Fire is coming out, it's unbelievable. Every neighbor, every community that was once part of our neighborhood, the people, there was nowhere to live in that neighborhood. But that's where I say I'm going to bring the spirit back. There was not but one house up and running to the whole part of that city. And that's the house where I came out of. But when I come out of the door, and to look, when the door opened up, and to see all of my friends, my relatives, my neighbors, and all the community that was once in that neighborhood was back outside waiting for me to come out. And I cried like a baby. I mean, they couldn't see my face, but tears were rolling down my eye because I got to have the mask on, and it was hard for me to believe. And that was one of the most touching moments of my life, because to see the people back, and it was like, even though every house and home was destroyed, it was like they didn't have no destruction whatsoever because the people was back. And all you could see was everybody hugging, kissing, crying, laughing. Because that was the first time they encountered each other since Katrina. And it was unbelievable how the people was crying and kissing and hugging. It was joy then. And it was like nothing never happened in that neighborhood. And even though all the destruction was still around us, and it was like, and it was no more than for that one day, all of the people came back home. They got this call, because the spirit had called for them. And that was the song was all about. I was calling all of the people, come back home.